to get probes out faster. I mean, he doesn't have a really high probe count yet. So that's really sort of a waste to not be using that Chrono Boost, especially with upgrades about to come. Although maybe it's possible that he is saving the Chrono Boost up for Thermal Lance and to boost out Colossi, but this one again is max.
It's still plenty of Chrono Boost. I mean, I think he's just maybe paying attention to other things, maybe the third base or what have you. You are right though that he should be spending those better.
We have a big push here coming up from the Zerg. He's coming up here. He's move commanding his way into the army. I don't like this at all. Coming right up the ramp. Oh, he has detection. He has the observer out. Force fields are going to trap this entire army. It's going to get absolutely slaughtered. It doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, even I think that was a really big mistake moving up there with the observers and what have you. It's just these roaches have no chance whatsoever.
And he's going to do a lot of damage to Gospy's army, but Gospy's going to retain a lot of his sentry and stalker count, and these roaches are just getting carved up as they're running around underground, especially with the observer there. And I would think at this point in the game, you really have to expect him to have an observer, or an immortal, one of the two. And he also has cannons here to provide detection. So as you can see, the Zerg army just got absolutely carved up there. However, the Zerg's remax pretty quick, and he's still ahead in supply of the Protoss.
You can look at the units lost tab, and the Zerg is almost 2,000 higher.
Yeah,
it's lost.
Zerg does have a 4th up though, and he does have a bit of a higher drone count right now. But he has the Colossi tech out, which once you have the Roaches out and the Colossi tech's out, and he is building Hydralisk Den, which is interesting to transition to with the Colossi tech out. Thermal Lance is not being researched right now. I assume that's going to drop as soon as he has the resources for it. And you could Chrono Boost it out pretty quick. 2 Void Rays just finished. I think that's a really nice tech choice. Also with Air Weapons 1 coming. As you can see, the Zerg pretty much has a completely ground army right now. Let's see how much scouting he's done. Doesn't know about the Stargates at all. He is building a Hydralisk Den, but he shows him the Colossi. The Colossi pretty much tries to get him to go away from Hydralisks because they're not that good against Colossi, and then he switches to Void Rays.
So as of right now, as a Zerg player, when you see these Colossus and you see the Void Rays, like what's your immediate tech switch? I mean, obviously Roaches can't be the answer. Maybe not even Hydras. I mean, do you start cranking out Corruptors? Do you start going to maybe Broodlords? What do you do? I guess Void Rays kill Broodlords pretty good, but...
Well, I mean, Broodlords are always going to be good against Deathball. The problem is Broodlord tech takes a really long time to get to, and he's still on Hatchery tech with these idle drones back here. He's not on Hive tech yet. I would put down a Spire. He's chrono boosting. He's producing Hydralisk. It's possible that he feels like he's so ahead, and he is pretty far ahead. He's about 45 supply ahead almost. That he doesn't feel the need for Corruptors just because his army is so much bigger. So he doesn't want to make maybe a painful tech switch that could make his army size smaller, and this will rather allow him to attack at max. It's also worth noting he doesn't have Thermal Lance yet, which takes a lot of the power of the Colossi away.
I mean, he is ahead food-wise, but if you look at the army values, Gospy's actually quite a bit ahead. And I think it's probably going to show him when they do this engagement. The higher quality tech units are just going to annihilate this ground army unless MunguiSa can get out some Corruptors or something to deal with these air units.
Yeah, he's making an infestation pit. I would love. I mean, 6 to 10 Corruptors would make this battle a lot different, especially going uphill here. He does have an upgrade advantage. He is 2-1 to Gospy's 1-0, which is a pretty big deal. Looks like we got a push coming. He doesn't have that many Hydralisks worked in, and he's got some idle Hydras coming over here. Obviously, Hydras off creep aren't that good. I'm not sure I really like pushing into this position. I would almost be a little more content using drops and keeping him contained to the third. But he's going to push up. I hate pushing up this ramp here. It's not going to go well. You can force field him out, and then the Colossi are just going to rip the Roaches up in the part. I'd really like to see him burrow out, and that's exactly what he's going to do. But he took a lot of damage there and pretty much did no damage whatsoever to the Protoss army.
I definitely agree there. I mean, look at the food count. I mean, you dropped Gospy pretty much didn't move at all, and while the Zerg remaxed instantly, he still lost 30 to 40 food right there, almost for nothing.
And he is making 7 Corruptors right now, but he's continuing to produce Hydralisks. I don't really like the Hydras anymore. When you have the Corruptors, I don't think the Hydras are that important. The Roaches will hold your ground while the Corruptors focus down the Colossus and the Void Rays. You always want to go after the Colossus first, as they're going to do the most damage to your ground army.
Looks like a Mothership's on the way as well. That's funny.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Mothership. I mean, that's good. Motherships are going to be a problem because what he can do is if the Corruptors come in to hit the Colossi, he can either vortex the army or he can vortex. He won't vortex Corruptors, but he can vortex the army, split it in half, and basically when a Protoss army splits you in half, the amount of DPS they put out is absolutely going to destroy what's left. But what you're going to see him do is he's going to use the Corruptors to focus down the Colossi. He'll probably use Corruption on them, but that's a pretty high Void Ray count. He's got about 7 Void Rays and 3 Colossus, and we are only looking at about 7 Corruptors. I would like to see a Corruptor count of 10 or more right here. I'd also love to see +1 air.
You can
being
see that the
researched.
Zerg is hurting for gas a little bit, and you can see on nearly all of his expansions, he's not really mining gas at all.
Nope.
I'm not sure, if that's optimal or, in your opinion, I feel like he should be
Suboptimal.
mining.
Yeah. All right, we have big engagement here coming up the hill. Again, he's running up the hill. He's getting cut off by force fields. He's doing little to no damage. And look at this. Oh my god, look how much damage he's taking when he burrows in there. The fully charged Void Rays and the Colossus are just absolutely destroying this army. And now all that's left are pretty much the soft Hydras and some Zerglings. Again, a really bad engagement by the Zerg. I have no idea why he keeps pushing up this hill. If I were him, I would first of all go and deny this fourth down here. I would have a scout on it. I would keep him contained, and I would do roach drops in his main, roach drops in his expos, just to keep him from maxing out too quickly or with such good tech. Yeah, not mining the gas is not good. I mean, as you can see, he has 4,700 minerals and 180 gas. Imagine if he had been mining these gases the entire time. He could basically remax on roaches over and over and over and over and just suicidally throw them at the Protoss. But as it stands now, the fact that he's ahead in expos really doesn't mean anything because he does not have the gas to use it, and gas is so essential for the Zerg. We do see a push out here with the Mothership. I don't know if the Zerg even has detection with his units. He doesn't. Zerg really has no scouting at all. He's not even trying to pay attention to what's going on. He does know the fourth is down here. And this is a nice little counter, but it's not enough roaches to kill.
If you look at the
cannons.
army value, the Protoss is significantly ahead, 7,500 and compared to 5,000 for the minerals, and almost double that for gas. So I mean, the army value for the Protoss is just much better.
And these roaches do look like
some
that
sort
burst
of
of
a
the hole
roach push
here.
on the third. It's not really going to have any success though with cannons.
And the stalkers are going to do enough DPS to the roaches to handle it. And as you can see, the Protoss is going to push out here with the Mothership behind it. Again, I don't even think there's an overseer down here with the Zerg units. He doesn't even have an overseer, so he has no detection whatsoever here. And basically he's going to be attacking a bunch of stealth units, and there's no way they're going to DPS this down enough. Oh wow, really nice Vortex, taking out the Hydras here. The Hydras can't do any damage to the air units. Well, he rips up the ground units. As soon as those Hydras come out, the Colossus are going to just focus all the damage right on top of that Vortex. Of course, there's about a second and a half of immunity now. It's not going to matter. This entire army is about to die immediately. The Hydras are just so weak against any sort of Colossus pressure with their low HP. And the Zerg player, I mean, this game is over. The Zerg player is essentially destroyed. All the Protoss player needs to do is sit up here, sit in the middle of his reinforcements. He keeps making Hydras, but the Hydras, yeah, they might kill stuff in the air, but the Colossus are just so good at handling it. And you can see all the reinforcing units. This is the trials of a Zerg player. All the reinforcing units are going to cross each other in the middle of the map. And the Protoss will just sit in the middle. Zerg units, sort of like the Protoss ball, need to be en masse to be effective. And if you can cut up their army, then it's just not effective at all. He is countering here, which is a nice thought, but with this amount of cannons, I don't think those Zerglings can take it out. And the Protoss is just continuing. He has Storm about to finish, and with High Templar coming in, the High Templar are going to destroy any sort of Hydralists. It's really well played by the Protoss player.
This is just a really big, nasty death ball at this point. There's really no answer that Zerg has. Maybe, a different composition, but Roach Hydra and, a few Corruptors is just not going to cut it.
The Zerg's problem... Go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry. He does have 2,000 in the bank, but again, the gas problem. Looking down at the farther south expansion.
We have a big engagement here. You can see the storms going down on top. Look how much damage that did. There's really nothing he can do as he takes out his third here. And basically he's forced to make Hydras, and you can see this stuff on the ground, but you have to assume he's got an observer. He's forced to make Hydras deal with the air units, and of course High Templar and Colossi destroy Hydras. So he basically forced one tech choice to take care of another. The Zerg just fell behind in macro in this game. Was not using gas, and was pretty much just throwing his units away with no purpose whatsoever. And you can see all these drones could be mining gas at all these different expansions, and it's just not the case. He can't use Remax or use a lot of these minerals effectively because of his deficiency in gas and because he's not mining correctly. So yeah, the Protoss got way ahead in this game. There's the GG, you can see as expected. The Protoss got way behind in this game, rather, early on with the Zerg's Baneling boss, but he, with some really key force fields over here by the Naturals, able to hold off any other pressure, get back in the lead. The Zerg player did have a bigger army and better tech at one point, but he really threw a lot of it away attacking up this choke. Did you
I think that choke was the worst. Those are some of the poorest engagement points, in this game. I think that was one of the, actually probably the reason, among some of the macro issues that the Zerg lost, is that he just kept pushing up. A lot of the Zergs that I've played, that have had success against me is, they kind of wait until they can get me in the open field. Everyone, as a Protoss player, everyone always bitches about the death ball, but, a Protoss player is not going to be moving out before, near max, with a pretty good composition in general. And, obviously, the Zerg units are going to be more or less efficient. against this death ball, but the strength is that you can just remax instantly, and catch us being a Protoss player out in the open, where you can do some good surrounds, some bungles, what have you.
He really didn't have a great creep spread either. I mean, once the Protoss killed the creep, he really didn't make an effort to respread the creep. You don't even need to use queens to do that. You could spread overlords out all over the map with overlord speed, have them drop creep, and then pull them back as soon as an army's coming through. So you can gauge on creep. But basically, he just fell behind in tech because he didn't have gas. As you can see at all these expansions down here, has no extractors here, has no extractors here. The gas levels at these are both very high. He's only mined about 1,000 gas from the two of them. Whereas the Protoss's macro has really been quite well, or has done quite well in his macro throughout the game, despite falling behind early on. So, thank you guys for listening to this, our first cast. So, we expect or look forward to any comments or criticisms you might have, and hope to make it better next time. So, let us know what you think, and we'll take care.
Yep. Thanks, guys.